Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Alice in the Industryland. Everyone, we have a special guest for today. Here is our guest for the episode number 6. Can you introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Nikki and I am a freelance fitness model.
Yeah, thanks for joining our channel and episode, Nikki.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. So Nikki here, we've worked together before when I was doing a photography still, fashion photo shoot. And one thing I noticed about her was obviously she's super beautiful. But aside from her looks, she was very passionate and very professional, and she had the mad talent that I was just aspiring. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. So yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about how we get to work on our first project together?
Yeah, I think you reached
while
out.
back.
Yeah, it was a while back, I remember. But I think you reached out through social media, and what I really liked is that you reached out with a concept in mind and you wanted to put something together that was elevated. I think as a freelance model, a lot of the photo shoots that you do require production that a lot of people aren't willing to do. But with you, it was really nice that you went above and beyond to find a location, to find a stylist, makeup artist, and it came out really, really good. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, because we got to do the photo shoot and videos, and we got to submit it to magazines. And we managed to do 3 different looks, which are amazing. I still love it till this day. And at the time, as a photographer, I was looking for someone with unique look that you don't really see as a standard beauty of the fashion industry per se, that I want to highlight. And I think you had the look. I wanted to focus more on the vibe and the energy that model carry, and you really had that. So what can I say? I had to reach out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So right now, you mentioned that you're working as a fitness model. So can you share a little bit about how it looks like for you?
Yeah. So personally, growing up, I always had an interest in modeling, but it was pretty apparent early on that I'm not tall enough to do some of the fashion and runway modeling. So I kind of had to get creative on how I could be involved in the industry with my height. So I started thinking, well, I could do fitness modeling, I could do like beauty, which I still do. And then pairing that with the fact that I'm like a huge advocate for just like physical and emotional health. I try and showcase a positive side of fitness modeling through like body positivity and empowering women, and not to say also that it's so good for your mental health to have an active lifestyle. So I figured that kind of packaged nicely what I wanted to do. And then I started getting really into my fitness when I was like right out of high school, and then just kind of align my fitness goals with my modeling goals, and started marketing myself as a fitness model through social media. And then I was able to connect with brands that were looking for not necessarily like tall runway models, but just someone that was a little bit more realistic and more common in like the day-to-day. So yeah, that's a little bit about my fitness modeling journey.
You've mentioned that your height can play a role in terms of your modeling. Do you think height is a factor that you can be a good model or not?
I definitely think so. I think myself as a petite model, I had to get really creative into how I was going to use that to my benefit. So when it comes to body positivity, lately it's been we've been more inclusive towards different body types. There's a lot more inclusion when it comes to plus size models, but I find that petite models and models that are not taller than like 5'6" might be left behind, or you might not even be able to apply to certain jobs or even agencies if you're not a certain height. Like they just completely disregard you. So I think that as a petite model, you just have to get creative, and freelancing is a really good option for that. That's why I got into it, and just being able to show other petite models that you can 100% do it. You just have to find what works for your body and what you're confident showing, and how you can add value to brands and photographers as well.
That's a really great point, because I mean, from the photos, I never thought you were a petite model because you have such a good balanced out, body portion.
People see me and they're like, I didn't know you were so short. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. So it doesn't really show through your work. So do you have any tips in terms of modeling, how to show off as more of model, not specifically restricted into the petite model?
I think it just comes with practice, over time. When you do it over and over again, you start getting more confident in what you do. And I think it comes naturally when you do so much work over time. You start seeing, okay, I like what I look like in these type of pictures, or I know that I can do this really well. And it's one of those things that just kind of comes.
You've touched a little bit about the topic of body positivity. So as a fit model, do you think it plays in a role, the body positivity that spills into the fitness model industry?
Yeah, I think it is a bit of a sensitive topic, and I try and shine a positive light on it as much as I can. On social media, we have to be mindful that we're often role models and examples for younger generations and even other women. So I kind of try and shine a light, like I said, on like the health aspect of it. I think that everybody is aware of how much benefits like fitness can actually have. So not necessarily touching base so much on like the body, but more on the benefits that it brings, like confidence, mental health, just the general benefits that fitness should play every day.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think a lot of times when people, as a normal people outside of the model industry, when they see the title of fitness model, it's very specific term that is easy to think about, oh, they're all about workout and fitness, and it's really something more like fashion models too. They're very, when you think of fitness model, fashion model, you have that imagery that comes into your mind right away. But I think it's really great that body positivity comes into play in a positive way in the industry. More of a health aspect, not much of it restricting how you should look.
Like what you look like, for sure.
So yeah, I think it's really great that you are in tune with your mindfulness and also within yourself. Can you share a little bit about the tips on how to manage your mindset and self-esteem maybe as a model in the industry?
For sure. I do a little bit of coaching for freelance models as well, and confidence is a point that we have to touch base on. And the main thing that I mentioned to models is you can't really gain confidence without going through the fire. And what that looks like is things like committing to doing things that you said you were going to do, being consistent in what you said you were going to do, and being consistent to yourself and honoring yourself. So when it comes to modeling, it's all about just being true to who you are, and over time that confidence comes. Surrounding yourself with people that are also in that same mindset where nobody's going to put you down. And I find that people might think that the modeling industry has a lot of competition and that it is kind of catty, but in my experience, I've only ever met like amazing, strong, reliable people, and that's why I love it so much. Just finding the right people to be with and grow together.
You've mentioned about your coaching other models. Can you tell us a little bit about what your coaching is about?
Yeah, for sure. So I began freelance modeling when I was 18, and I found that it took me way too long to get to a point where I was confident in my posing, confident in asking for compensation. It took me maybe 5 to 7 years to get somewhere where I thought I was actually adding value to brands. So for me personally, it came from COVID. The whole world stopped, and I had to think of ways that I could be a part of the industry without necessarily having to be in front of the camera. So as I was sitting there, sick one day, I was like, what can I do? And I started thinking of developing a program to just help other freelance models bridge the gap close the gap and get results and get progress faster, as well as build a community of like dependable and reliable models. With freelance modeling, I don't think that there's a gap in talent. I think that there's a gap in professionalism. So just helping other freelance models show themselves and market themselves and kind of elevate their personal branding to a point where they can not compete, but be at the caliber of agency signed models. So that's what it's all about. It hopefully helps the beginner models get to their goals faster and also have a community of dependable women and men that care for each other's progress and growth.
Wow. So instead of you focusing on building your own career, you thought of a way to contribute and build a community for model industry. I think that's really positive, because I know it could be in a way, very competitive.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to find the connection with other people, especially in the creative industry, that works in the same mindset as you.
Yeah.
But I think you've made that possible, especially in model industry.
Yeah.
You've mentioned a little bit about confidence, and I think I can't agree more with you, because a lot of people, when they think about confidence, they think, oh, I just have to fake it till make it. I just have to, appear to be more confident, and until I actually feel it, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
But I think you've touched base on how to be truly confident, which is showing up for yourself every day, pushing through, keeping the promise you made, and professionalism when it comes to work.
Yeah.
It really plays a huge part when you're building your career, especially for models. I've seen, not all of them, very few people, they've trust too much in their talent, and they think they're a big shot, big deal. Yeah. And they think, oh, it's not a big deal. I'll find another photographer. I'll find another gig.
Yeah.
It's okay. So I think it's really great that you are teaching from the ground up, which is how to be professional and be the model that you can rely on.
Yeah.
Because some models, it makes it really difficult to rely on them to show up even on time for the shoot.
Yeah.
Is this model gonna show up for the photo shoot that we said we're gonna do?
Yeah.
Is there gonna be last minute changes, cancellation? I think those are really important factors to decide if I want to work with this people again.
And if
this
you,
model.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in terms of training your models, I know you mentioned about beginner models. Do you have any other models that you're training?
So I deal with beginner models and intermediate models that are looking to just kind of take that next step. So we work with portfolio building, and sometimes I find people just need a second set of eyes to kind of guide them through some process. So I do social media as well. I help models just clean up their social media a little bit to be professional. We do posing classes. I've done networking events where I get models together to just collaborate with each other and connect with each other. A lot of the times in the modeling industry, you can't always land every gig because of different requirements for jobs. It could be ethnicity or height or whatever it is. So sharing jobs is really important, and you can't do that if you don't have a connection and a network with other models. So I think it's really important to just have a team of models that can be hey, I know a model that can help you for that, or reach out to this girl, and just like I said, not necessarily be so competitive and be more collaborative.
That is very inspiring, because for the longest time, I've viewed model and industry as very individual type of work.
Yeah.
Because even though you're on agency, you don't really work as a group per se.
Yeah.
You're working more as an individual signed model, even more so for freelancer models. I think this is great that you're creating almost like a huge community of models who are professional and reliable and good at what they're doing.
Yeah.
So to create this community, what do you think is the key main idea behind it?
I think knowledge sharing is a big one, and having resources that are readily available. A lot of the times it may seem like there's gatekeeping happening and that some people don't want to share how they got to where they are or like what they can do to get more jobs. But like I said, as models, we can't land every job. So we have to work together to elevate the industry. If one model is, for example, undercutting themselves, it's not just affecting themselves, but it affects the entire industry. So if we collectively work together through social media, through I do like Zoom workshops and stuff like that. Those are some ways that I have been able to connect with people, and I felt like COVID actually helped a little bit with this because it really pushed a lot of models to come together, or a lot of people to come together in new ways. So I took that as an advantage. I was like, well, people don't have a lot to do right now. Let's just connect and like knowledge share and see how we can elevate each other in the industry.
I think when it comes to knowledge sharing, it's very interesting perspective because not many people would love to share how they become who they are, how they get to where they are right now, because that's their secret sauce they don't want to share. So do you think when you're sharing the secret sauce of your success, do you think that devalues you because now everyone has the same secret sauce?
Yeah,
per se?
It's funny that you mentioned that. At first I used to think that, but I went to school for marketing, and one of the main things that marketing focuses on is adding value. Like, how can you add value to whatever you're trying to do, right? So with me, I was thinking, how can I add value to the industry? How can I add value to photographers? How can I add value to models? And the only way that I knew how was sharing what I've learned through time and experience and repetition. And maybe it might like undervalue me a little bit, but it puts me in a different category of more of like a leader and more of a role model. And I'm hoping that that's a mentality that a lot of people can adopt and not be so, not selfish, but selfish.
kept to themselves for only benefiting themselves.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really great that you have a value that you're believing in sharing and growing together and building the community so that we can share and grow together. I think that's really great value. I also believe in that too. So when you're coaching model, what do you see as the next challenge coming up for your career?
Yeah, I want to find a way to coach more models at once. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm thinking of potentially developing a program or a course where I can just, have it and then more people can have access to it. I also want to do group coaching. So I had already tried to do one, but I find that the connection that I have one-on-one is just more beneficial for me and for the model. So the next step would be to just double down on that and find how I can connect with a larger group of models at once, and then get them to even help and collaborate in the coaching by asking questions that other models may have and they can all benefit from.
Thanks for sharing that. It's something that I can't imagine on my own. I was thinking more of the mindset part of it, not really technicality.
Right.
So in terms of doing a group coaching, do you need a specific size of space that you're thinking of renting, or are you thinking more online based?
Yeah, I think I was thinking more online based, but it is difficult to connect with people, I've found. How do you connect with people in a way that they feel like you're still helping them when there's 10 of them, right? So I know it's possible. I just need to find the right balance between personal and a group, I guess.
Thanks for sharing. Lastly, I would like to ask, as a model yourself and someone who's coaching other models, help building themselves up as a models, what kind of advice would you like to give to people who would like to start in modeling?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a few, but the first one, which is basically with any industry, is just consistency and perseverance. If anyone thinks that you can just do something for a couple of months and get results, you might need a little bit of a reality check. Every time that I coach models, I tell them that I've been doing this for over 10 years and that what they see on social media is not necessarily the whole picture. So my first piece of advice is just be consistent, be committed, and believe in yourself. A little cliche, but truly you have to believe that you can do it to actually achieve what you want. Another piece of advice I would say is be strategic. So don't just do, but think. Think what are the next steps that you need in order to achieve your goals? Who do you need to connect with? Like, what are some things that you need to learn so that, again, you can add value to brands and photographers? And I guess the third piece would be just networking. Networking is really important, making sure that people know that you are a model that's reliable and that has the skills necessary to complete a job. Because in this day and age, a lot of people rely on social media for that, but still, like, in-person networking and connecting with brands and businesses is super important for a model's success.
I think you're totally right. In terms of across any industry, it applies the same rule that you have to be consistent and also show up, really. I know you mentioned a little bit of networking. Like, I get the gist of it that you're mentioning about, like, in person, not much about online.
Yeah.
Would you recommend some offline networking events that you can recommend to people?
I mean, I have had success in volunteering for shows. So, like, volunteering for fashion shows, volunteering for any type of creative event. You know, it shows what type of person you are if you're willing to do something for free, and especially if you're first starting out, like, all that experience is invaluable. It's something that sometimes I would pay money to go and learn, but volunteering just exposes you to a different type of people. So volunteering, huge. I did it a lot. And yeah, I think events, like, there's a lot of meetups for photographers and models that I think could be really valuable. So yeah, just putting yourself out there and searching and trying to find ways to connect with people is super important.
Wow, thanks for a great advice. I'm also learning here too. So yeah, lastly, if people want to find you and connect you, which is the best way to contact you?
Yeah, I would say Instagram is the better way. My Instagram is Nikki Modeling. You can reach me there through DM or just connect via stories.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming to our show. If you'd like to hear more about industry professionals sharing their experience and advices, please join our community.
Thanks for having me, Alice.
Thank you. See you guys next episode. Bye-bye.